Well, we told y'all when we started the lunch bunch that we were going to bring speakers from all over the country. People that were experts, not just on local politics, but that were from other states, and we've done that. This is 3 weeks in a row. We've had somebody from out of the state come and speak. There's nobody that's more knowledgeable on the ballot initiative process than Paul. We really appreciate you being here today. We're blessed to have as parents. I said, a member of Toastmasters, the High Noon Toastmasters organization. Paul's dad, Mr. John, and got to know him well, and the apple hadn't fallen far from the tree. We've got another one coming in 2 weeks. Mark Lerner, who is one of the leading experts on property rights, Real ID. He is loaded with knowledge, and it'll be a treat to hear him speak. I want to point out we've got a couple of politicians here today. I guess we're all politicians in some shape, form, or fashion. But so many times you see guys that run for office, and for some reason they don't win, and you never hear from them again. I think we've been blessed with this cycle. We've had some guys that ran tough races, fell a little short of the mark, but they moved the debate to the right. Yes. And they're still out there plugging. We've had Scott Wallace, who's attended several of our meetings since his election. Conrad Reynolds, thank you for being here, Conrad. One thing about Conrad during that primary cycle, you could always expect him to be out there with his sleeves rolled up, fight. We appreciate all that you did. Then we got D.C. Morrison in the back. Thank you. Mr. Morrison was running for Senate on the Democratic ticket, and I know y'all have heard me say that it's hard for me to hear somebody that touts himself as being a Democrat be able to say that they're conservative in the same breath without choking on those words. But I had the pleasure of visiting with Mr. Morrison at one of the voting precincts, and after about a 10-minute conversation with him, I said, dang, he's more conservative than half the guys running for Senate on other tickets. So we appreciate you and what you're doing. So you've heard me say several times over the years or over the last few months, the problem with politicians is that they're too busy with politics to deal with the needs of the people. And we have that problem in both parties. And it's organizations like this that keep those politicians in line. And it's important that we hold them accountable, because in the last few decades, they've not been held accountable. They get elected and they pretty much got a free pass. But we need to end that. We need to stop that. And I think we're on the right course to do that. Now, I will say Paul's words today made me a little more uncomfortable than any speaker we've had in the past, as he was talking about being indicted, doing what was right. Some of the choice words I've had for our state attorney general kept popping up in my mind. And, but you know, I guess that's okay. We'll keep fighting the fight.
Can I make one comment about that? Let's make sure that we never have an attorney general again that doesn't have an opponent in a conservative.
Anytime we have a statewide race like that an incumbent doesn't have an opponent, we're really cheating the system that we've been given. There's no excuse for that. And I've talked to Doyle and Chase about that several times, and they said, well, we thought we had somebody right up to the end. There was nobody on the Democrat side that ran against him in the primary either. He got a free pass. We all know what his final objective is. We expect to see him on the ballot in 2014 for governor. And that's a pretty scary thought from my side of the fence.
Yes, I was wondering, have you or anyone else found out why that we have 2 different languages on the voter registration form?
Betty.
No, ma'am, I have not had an opportunity to research.
That really bugs me, you know, it never got in the news.
No, and what she's talking about, we were at the Secretary of State's office the other day. She brought 2 voter registration forms, one in English and one in Spanish. She pointed out that the Arkansas state official language is English.
Yes.
Why are taxpayer dollars going to print a voter registration application in Spanish?
And Todd, I'll tell you right now, what's really scary about that is if you look in the lower right-hand corner on what the qualifications are to vote, that'll really scare you.
I couldn't read it.
Well, it's as long as you got a picture of yourself and have an electricity bill, you can vote.
Right.
Yeah, it's you can talk to almost anybody that votes and is. Do you have to show an ID to vote? And they'll all say, yeah. Well, that's not true. They'll ask you when you vote. The poll workers are required to ask you the question, do you have an ID? Well, by them asking you that, it gives the perception that you have to have one. So most people will reach in their back pocket, pull out their driver's license, show their ID. If there is a box there, if you don't have an ID, they check didn't have identification.
That's right.
Yeah.
You do not have, and that's why there's so much fraud in our election process. Now, this is something that we're going to address. It's going to-